Hey, do-it-yourselfers. I wanted to show you a project that I've done recently and getting ready to hang it up. It is a Christmas star that lights up with programmable LEDs. So it's controlled by an Arduino microcontroller. So you can code up whatever pattern of LEDs you feel comfortable coding, or you can just use the standard library script. These are LEDs from Adafruit. They are the NeoPixel LEDs. This set here is 30 LEDs per meter. And for this star, I bought 4 meters worth. I ended up with a little bit extra, so got some to play with for the next project. First of all, let me show you the star, because that's what I started with a couple years ago. And what I did was I went to the hardware store and I bought some yardsticks. These are yardsticks of 36 inches long. And I measured out the angles on the driveway so that I would make a nice symmetric star. I did that after I made a rather not symmetric looking star. So once I measured out the angles and I stapled it all together with just using a staple gun, and you can see, if you don't want to go and measure out the angles, if you're using these 36-inch yardsticks, that they cross here at about 13.5 inches. So 13.5, 13.5, 13.5 here, 13.5 almost over here. So if you get these guys crossing about 13.5 inches from the end, you should have a reasonably good, maybe 13 to 13.5 inches, you should have a reasonably good star. This one, since it's going up in a tree, I got this twine here that I use to tie it around the tree, and what I usually do is I just hang it up in this palm tree here. Nice queen palm in front of the house, and I just sort of hang it up above the roof line a little bit. So that's what I do. But so I got the twine. You can see I painted the front of it green. I had some green spray paint, so I spray painted green just so people don't see the star, the frame so much, and focus on the lights. And I think after dark it's going to be pretty good. So when I first made the star, I just took a plain old strand of LED Christmas lights and just sort of wrapped it around the edge, and that was pretty good. Now we're taking it to the next level with these programmable LEDs. So you can see what I did was I cut these. It turned out with the 30 per meter, it turned out that there's 10 LEDs on each of the 10 legs of the star. So actually that's going to work out, it's going to make the programming, I think, a little easier for my kids to grasp. So there's 10, you can go, from I equals 1 to 10, and then for the LEDs on this particular leg, and then, J equals 1 to 10 for the 10 legs, and we can do all different kinds of patterns. So I think that'll kind of simplify that a little bit. And then if you look close here, you can kind of see that I had to sort of jumper at the corners here with 3 wires. There's 5 volts, there's a data wire, and then there's the ground wire. So I kind of had to jumper that, and I got to seal this up so it's a little more waterproof. And then I just zip tied these things in a couple spots each to the wooden frame. So that's what I did with that. And then I had an old piece of phone wire here that had 3 conductors in it, so I just used that, and I ran it to a little just a little electrical box. This one's supposed to be waterproof, and it's got a cover that's got a gasket, a foam gasket, so that should keep the water out more or less. And then I also got from Adafruit this 2.1 millimeter electrical jack for the power. And then I just drilled a hole and I just sort of soldered in the wire. You can see in here is the Arduino board. This one's an Arduino Uno, but there's no reason you couldn't use one of Adafruit's Metro boards or Featherboard or whatever your favorite microcontroller is. I like the Arduinos. I understand the programming pretty easy, and it's a great library, so that's what I use. And this one's pretty simple. The Arduino just gets power that comes in on this 5-volt power here. So it gets power and ground, and then there's the data signal, which goes on this yellow wire here. See? And then that all goes out to the star. So for power, it turns out if we really turn up the juice and run all these things bright white, full blast, this thing spec would take the 4 meters of that I bought of LEDs would take something like 8 amps. What I did was I got myself from Adafruit 5-volt 10 amp power supply. I think this was about 25 bucks, so not cheap, but you know, if you want 10 amps of anything, that's a lot of current. So whatever. It's nice to be having, you know, low voltage running outside the house and not 120 volts. So this is going to kind of come, the 120 volts is all going to be inside, and then 5 volts outside the house. So right now this thing's programmed with just, we took the Adafruit library function called strand test, that particular script, and just edited it a little bit so that it makes a little bit more Christmassy of a pattern. So when I plug it in, this thing fires up and we should start to see. So first what it does is it just kind of goes all the way around red and then green, and it'll do alternate red and green 10 times, and then it'll switch to going through a rainbowy pattern. So we just commented out a few of the functions in the strand test, and instead the original function has to go red and then green and then blue. So we can't cut out the blue because it's not, you know, red and green's a little more Christmassy, just the red and green. And that's all there is to it. So, you know, what I think we'll probably do is we'll hang this up kind of as it is right now, because I want to get it up because it's almost Christmas. Then, after Christmas, we'll take it down, and then we can take this guy, we can take this, take the Arduino inside, take the whole thing inside, and we can practice programming different, you know, start to learn about for loops and other things that we could use to, you know, change the way the lights light up. So, you can see it's still going red and green alternating. Like I said, I think we programmed it to do that 10 times. And then it'll switch over and do this rainbow pattern. You know, maybe in the future we'll add like a motion sensor or proximity sensor so that as you walk up to it, it changes what it does, make it interactive. We could add a light sensor so that it only switches on after dark. We didn't do that yet, but something one could do pretty easily. And it's into its rainbow phase here, so you can see it's sort of bluish, going to green, and yellow, pink. So they're pretty cool. They're really bright, especially when you're running them on 5 volts. So gotta be careful. I think if you use the feather boards, I think are mostly 3-volt power supply. So this one, I did the thing you're not supposed to do, which was I wired power straight into the 5-volt pin on the Arduino, which is not recommended procedure. Seems to be working though. You're supposed to bring the power in either from a USB power supply on the USB plug or on a 7+ volts on the 2.1 millimeter power jack here. One reason not to do that is that if you bring in power on the jack and then you want to pull that 5 volts to power your LEDs, the power gets stepped down to 5 volts in a linear regulator, which is this little part here. And if it's a big voltage drop, like say you run a 12-volt power supply, you start pulling hundreds of milliamps through that, and it's going to dissipate a lot of power, and this regulator can overheat and shut down, and then your thing will kind of fail. So, like I say, not quite the recommended procedure to bring 5 volts in on the 5 volt pin, but since I knew I was going to be running this with a 5 volt supply, and I'm not going to trust anybody else to plug it in, I felt pretty comfortable doing that. So, here we go. Programmable Christmas star, do it yourself. And that's how we're getting ready for Christmas here in sunny California. Enjoy. Hey, okay, so we got the star hung up, and now you can see after dark what it looks like. May not be obvious that it's after dark because you're kind of seeing a lot of light from the, the dusk light. But anyway, so the star's up. It's very bright. So right now it's doing this routine where it does the red and the green, and then eventually it's going to shift gears and go into sort of its rainbow mode. And so you can program, the way we've got it set up, it runs this red and green cycle 10 times. But we just programmed it that way in the Arduino code. So not too hard to change if you want to do that. But and then you could change, have it be whatever colors your heart desires. You could have it be pink or blue or white or whatever. Red and green were pretty easy, so we just went with that. And there it is. It's hung up there. We ran the 5 volt power wires out there, plus the data wire from the Arduino. Oh, there's the rainbow mode. You can see it kind of going through its rainbows. So, that's it. I'm going to sort of bask in the glow of the star there and enjoy your Christmas.